Good morning. Good morning. God woke us up this morning to let us see another Lord's Day. And we thankful that He woke us up to see at least one more Sunday, because next Sunday is not promised, let alone next second. And there's folks that's not going to be able to wake up this morning, so you be thankful for that. And there's folks that's going to be burying loved ones. I took a week vacation last week, a week of hiatus last week from preaching. Last week, I took a little vacation last week in general. That's why you didn't see me on social media last week. So I took a break from preaching last week. I took a little vacation break. But God put upon my heart, I'm going to preach a good sermon this morning out of the book of Matthew. I'm not going to keep you long. And it's coming from chapter 14. And we're going to read verses 13, and we're going to end at 21. And it reads like this. When Jesus heard it, He departed from there by the boat to a desert place by himself. But when the multitudes heard it, they followed him on foot from the cities. And when Jesus went out, he saw a great multitude, and he was moved with compassion for them and healed their sick. When it was evening, his disciples came to him, saying, "This is a desert place, and the hour is already late. Send the multitudes away that they may go into the villages and buy themselves food." Verse 16, but Jesus said to them, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." And they said to him, "We have here only 5 loaves and 2 fish. And verse 18, he said, "Bring them here to me." Then he commanded the multitudes to sit down on the grass. And he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and broke and gave the loaves to the disciples. And the disciples gave the multitudes. Verse 20, so they all ate and were filled, and they took up 12 baskets full of fragments. And that remained. And verse 21, now those who had eaten were about 5,000 men, and besides women and children. My topic I'm going to preach is coming from verse number 20. It is, so they all ate, were filled, and they took up 12 baskets full of fragments. And that remained. And my sermon is going to be from verse number 20. Learn to live off fragments. Learn to live off the fragments that you have. My first point, the problem is, before I get into the sermon, is the first point is, a lot of us complain about we don't have enough. Why? Which that's been said because a lot of us don't have a lot of money. A lot of us don't have big houses. A lot of us don't have a lot of cars. A lot of us don't have, and clearly we don't have enough food. When you look on TV and you look at the news, and you see some of these other countries that folks are starving, don't have what we have, which we need to learn to live off the fragments that we have. They were complaining that they told Jesus that we don't have enough food here. It was 5,000 people now that he fed, and it was only 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. Now I'm about to get to my first point. Is when you don't have enough, that's when your faith, you need to have your faith in God. Because actually you have more than enough. Faith alone will get you through. Faith alone, you will be able to live through fragments. It's always so. Don't worry about what that next person has. You need to be thankful for what you have. God, you have more than enough by God sending his son to die on the cross for us 2,000 years ago. He told the disciples, after he set them down, he said, "Bring them to me." He fed them 2 fish, 5 loaves. Then they had 12 baskets left, and they still had leftovers. How is that possible? Which that's been said, there's nothing impossible when it comes to God. The problem a lot of this world is, a lot of us are complaining about what we don't have. We need to complain about what we don't have, but we need to be thankful for what we do have. I don't have a big house. I don't know how to drive. I got my small, tiny little apartment. I don't know how to drive a car. I'm 45 years old. But at the end of the day, I live off fragments, which that's been said. Because my God is bigger than anything that he blessed me with. I got more than enough. I got a place to stay. I got food on my table. And I've been blessed to put clothes on my back. And blessed to go to work every day to make money to pay the bills that the Lord blessed me with. That's my point. First point that I want to get across. That we need to, that he fulfilled his expectations of those looking forward to the new Moses based on Deuteronomy 18:15 and John chapter 1 verse 21, Acts 3:22, and then chapter 7 and 37. But my second point is that Jesus can only supply our daily bread by requesting him, which means he will give us, or he will supply us of all our needs. We can't worry about what we don't have. We need to take one day at a time, and we need to continue to stay grounded in the word. We need to continue to stay prayed up. We need to continue to read scriptures, because there are always going to be, we're going to always lose things, and we're going to always go through adversity. But when we fall on our face and we go through adversity, that's when we need to go to God. And we need to ask God for a sense of directions. The problem with a lot of it is that a lot of us don't have a sense of directions. A lot of us have a lack of faith. We don't know what it's like to live in fragments. We don't appreciate the light of living in fragments, because a lot of us are living in fragments. But at the end of the day, as long as you got God first and foremost, you can go no wrong. You can't worry about who has a big house. You can't worry about who have an extra icon behind the name of celebrity. Because a lot of those celebrities that don't live in these fragment life, they're the ones that's miserable. They're the ones that don't have God first and foremost. They're the ones that struggle to live life. How is that possible that you're struggling to live life when you got all this money and you got all this fame that God bless you with? What my point of that is, proves my point. And it ain't what I say, it's what the Bible said. It's because they threw God in the back seat. They don't appreciate where they came from. They don't appreciate the life of living in fragments. They don't appreciate. That's why that God allowed them to go through what they go through. Like a lot of them are on suicide watch. A lot of them go bankrupt. A lot of them are miserable. That's why I say you got folks that are living the life that don't have money like that don't have a lot of food, that know they got more than enough. By living in fragments, by trusting, it was our trusting in God. Those are the ones that are happy, and those are the ones that are making it. We got to understand that this life that we live, we got to focus on the one who looks up high, who sits high and looks down low. It doesn't matter how much money we have. It doesn't matter how much fame we have. It doesn't matter how big of a house we have. It doesn't matter what nice of a car we have. As long as we live in the fragment life, and we have a peace of mind and trust in God first and foremost, he will make a way out of no way. We can't worry about what the next person say. We can't worry about the next person live. We just need to pray and ask God how to get us to live in this fragment life, because we need to be thankful, because look at some of these other countries. Like when I researched North Korea, I've been researching them for the past 4 or 5 months. That regime over there who doesn't like God, who doesn't believe in God, who thinks that he is God, that if anyone over there talks Bible or any other religions will get executed, and them and their family. And the point of the matter is that they're definitely living the they can't even live the fragment life. Which that's been said, he allowed those people to starve on purpose. He allowed those people to better have a place to stay. And then some of these other countries, when you look on TV, it's very discouraging. Even Haiti, the country Haiti, that is one of the poorest countries. And how those people live over there, we can't complain about nothing that we go through in the United States of America, because we are being blessed to live this fragment life. We got more than enough than we think we do, and that's Jesus down on the cross 2,000 years ago to make a way for us to feed us the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and then they had 12 baskets of leftovers. If he could feed 5,000 5,000 people with 12 baskets, with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread, and still have leftovers. He can feed you. So whatever you complain about that you don't have, that you got more than enough, you need to thank God. He is the way. He is your way. He is your way and the way out of no way. He will make a way out of no way, like he did those disciples. He did with the 12 baskets, with the 2 fish and 5 loaves. He fed them. He fed them enough. They had more than enough. Point I'm saying is here. Before I get to my final point I'm saying is here. You got more than enough than you think you do. That's why we don't need to complain about how we live. We need to be thankful for what we have, not what we don't have. But the problem is we complain about what we don't have. Well, we got more than enough. If you got food on your table, if you got clothes on your back, if you blessed to wake up every day with breath in your body, if you blessed to get up every day and go to work every day, for God to bless you to pay the bills of your job, you should be thankful for that. Don't matter if you don't. That's why God don't bless some folks, everybody with a big house or with a lot of money, because people do not know how to appreciate that. That's when they try to throw God in the back seat, and then they will not know how to live that fragment life. And when God got ways of humbling you, God got ways of bringing you down to reality. When you think that you're bigger than God, when you think you're bigger than the fragment life that you live, but no one is bigger than the fragment life that we live. Because at the end of the day, this stuff that He blessed us with, He can take it from us. We got need to understand that this stuff that He blessed us with, He can take it from us. That when we dead this 6 feet deep, we ain't taking none of this stuff with us. That's why all these famous people that you see on TV doesn't mean nothing. They end of the day, they are fragments just like we are. Because when we're dead and gone, the last names, the money, the fame, the houses, the cars, none of that stuff we're taking with us. None of it. It's not going with us. And when we dead and gone, God's going to be here. God is the Alpha. God is the Omega. God is the beginning. God is the end. God is going to be here. He was here yesterday. He is today. And He's going to be here tomorrow. God, we need to understand that. So that's why we need to learn to appreciate the fragment life that we live. And that's the problem is we live in a fragment life in a corrupt, crooked world. Folks want more than what they really have. That's why God don't bless everybody with this stuff. A lot of these material things. Because people take this material things and put that as their idol gods, their lowercase g gods. We need to understand that here, that I love living the fragment life. I don't care about being in the limelight. I don't care about showmanship. I don't care about money. I don't care about a big house. If God bless me, my goal is I want a house. I want a decent sized 1-level house. But I want it to be blessed for me to live the fragment life. I don't want to live outside my means. Because when you live outside your means, when you put God out, when you throw God at the back seat, when you live outside your means, your whole life will start go into shambles. You will start having things happen here and there, like the bills get behind or this other things in general. We need to understand that if Jesus can feed 5,000 people with just 2 fish and 5 loaves and 12 baskets, which makes you think He can't feed you when you think you ain't got enough? You got more than enough. He died on the cross 2,000 years ago to make a way to show us how to live this fragment life that we live. Because this fragment life that we live, it is only a temporary life that we live. Because when our expiration day come, we all got the answer to the one who sits high, who looks down low. We need to understand that here. And there's someone here today that don't know how to live the fragment life, that are struggling how to live their fragment life. If you want to be saved, you got the first. There's 5 steps, but what are you being saved into? And you need to understand that. And you want to be baptized, and where you be baptized into? I'm glad you asked. You read it for yourself. Read Ephesians 4:5. The one Lord, the one faith, the one baptism. That is the only Lord's church that He built in the Bible, the Church of Christ. Not all these other man-made churches. All these denominations, these man-made churches. The church that God established in the Bible. And then the 5 steps of salvation, you got to first hear the word. You got to hear the gospel. That is in Romans chapter 10, 17. And you got step number 2, believe the gospel. That's Mark 16. That's Mark 16, Hebrews 11:6. And then 3, you got to repent of your your sins, Acts 2:38, Acts 17:20. And then 4, confess to Christ, Matthew 10:32. And then last but not least, learn to be baptized. Then you'll be baptized. And baptized in 2, baptized in the Lord's church, the Lord that had the church that he built, that he established. That is in 1 Peter 3:21, Romans 6:3 and 4, Acts 2:38. And once you learn to hear the gospel, and then you believe, you hear and believe, repent, confess, and be baptized. And once you learn those 5 steps, you will learn to live faithful unto death. There is someone here today that needs to hear this word. If you don't know how to live a fragment life, if you're struggling to live the fragment life, these are the ways that you can be added to the Lord's church. In Ephesians 4:4-5, the one Lord, the one faith, the one baptism, the one calling, the one true church that he established. Because someone here is living a fragment life, but are struggling to live a fragment life. That God can make a way to feed 5,000 with 12 baskets, with 2 fish and 5 loaves. He can feed you too. He will provide all your needs. That's all I wanted to say. And may God bless.